All hell is breaking loose as Ukraine has officially checkmated the global power structure. Moscow is on fire. Moscow is literally burning to the ground. Zelensky is utilizing long-range capabilities now, including state-of-the-art drones and hitting critical Moscow infrastructure, which was previously touted as being the most highly guarded, most impenetrable areas in all of Russia. And Zelensky and Ukraine have been able to penetrate it. Slava Ukraini. Now, here is exactly what we are learning as of May 18, 2026. The Kiev Independent reports following massive strikes on Moscow. Zelensky touts a complete shift in the balance on the battlefield, signaling even more deep strikes into the absolute heart of Russia. Remember when Donald Trump sat there and condescendingly said, "Zelensky, you do not have the cards. You need to listen to me." And Zelensky fired back, "What are you talking about? I do not have the cards. One day a war is going to come to you and you are not going to know how to deal with it. We should be allies. But if this is the way you want to go, then that is the way you want to go." Now, let us talk about what has actually gone down in the last 48 hours. Ukraine Security Service confirmed on May 17, 2026 that it conducted a massive operation jointly with Ukraine's armed forces, targeting military, industrial, and fuel infrastructure in the Moscow Oblast, including the Moscow oil refinery, as well as air defense systems and infrastructure at the Belbek military airfield in occupied Crimea. Now you can see some of these drones almost taunting Russia's air defense systems that were defenseless and unable to stop these drones, as these drones loitered over Moscow, finding the perfect targets and striking with surgical precision. Let me show you some of the video from Moscow right now. You can see exactly what it looks like, and I am not using any hyperbole. Moscow is literally burning down. Fires can be seen burning earlier in the day at massive infrastructure sites across the Russian capital. At least one of its major oil depots is gone following this large-scale combined attack using cruise missiles and drones by Ukraine. So many targets in Moscow and the surrounding region are on fire. Take a look at it right here. Another angle as well, as analysts write, for the first time, Ukraine has managed to hit the Moscow oil refinery, the most protected facility in the entire country. Multiple strikes, yes. And as one commentator noted, there is a very real chance Ukraine will end the war if this continues. Another commentator says, "Moscow has never looked so hot, right? Donald, the hottest country. So hot, Donald Trump associates with losers." And Zelensky is taking a major advantage on the battlefield. You can look right here as these Ukrainian drones essentially fly in formation when striking Moscow, Russia this morning. At this point, they are openly mocking the Russian air defense capabilities. Another commentator noted, "No rest for Moscow, as a road has not only been caught on fire, but is now sinking due to its own shoddy construction. This apparently occurred without even Ukraine's help." Take a look at more footage of a major fire following a drone attack in the Zelenograd, Moscow Administrative District. The Elma Techno Park was likely the target of the attack. Companies that manufacture electronics are based there. The war is finally coming to Russia, and among other things that are burning in Russia in the morning, fires at Moscow's massive Solnechno-Gorsk oil facility continue to spread now, amid Russian social media being flooded with the videos that I am sharing with you of the damage to Moscow inflicted by Ukrainian drones and missiles. Russians are now also beginning to point out that it was only last week that it was made illegal to publish news photos or videos of exactly this type of stuff. Punishable by lengthy prison terms, it is considered terrorism in Moscow. But we have got the footage right here. Putin's toothless government wears no clothes. Not only that, but when Russia's air defense system was activated, it was so shoddy and so faulty that these civilian deaths in Moscow have come from Russia's own air defense missiles striking apartment complexes in Moscow, with 3 people already confirmed dead across Moscow. Locals are not happy as Russian air defenses continue to successfully attack apartment buildings citywide. Now, as Moscow burns, one of the drunkest members of Putin's press team comes out with yet another threat to nuke the entire planet. Sounds a lot like Donald Trump. According to the presidential decree, the press secretary for Russia's foreign ministry on the approval of the fundamental state policy of the Russian Federation in the field of nuclear deterrence. The recent reliable information about the massive launch of aerospace attacks means they could be activating their nuclear deterrent capabilities. As another account writes, this was a bad day for Russian air defenses in Moscow. The Russian defense ring around Moscow was penetrated at multiple points. Ukrainian drones struck targets from Durkino in the north, Zelenograd, Armayevo International Airport, and Khimki in the northwest, and even reached the Moscow refinery in the southeast of Russia, as heavily protected capital. Now, Zelensky has been posting video footage as well of the Ukrainian missile and drone strikes. And here is what Zelensky writes. "Our responses to Russia's prolongation of the war and its attacks on our cities and communities are entirely justified this time. Ukrainian long-range sanctions," that is what he refers to, the Ukrainian drone strikes and missiles. He says, if the US is going to take away sanctions, we will impose long-range sanctions. This time, Ukrainian long-range sanctions reach the Moscow region, and we are clearly telling the Russians their state must end this war. Ukrainian drone and missile manufacturers continue their work. I am grateful to the Security Service of Ukraine and all defense forces of Ukraine for their precision. The distance from Ukraine's state border is over 500 kilometers. The concentration of Russian air defense in the Moscow region is the highest, but we are overcoming it. Glory to Ukraine, Slava Ukraini. Look, as someone with a very active online presence, privacy is incredibly important to me. Our personal information is constantly being collected, bought, and sold online. And in today's world of surveillance and data breaches, that should concern everyone. Delim makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Delete Team does all the hard work of wiping you and your family's personal information from hundreds of data broker websites. You simply tell them what information you want removed, and their experts take it from there. They also send you regular privacy reports so you can see exactly what they found and what they removed. And I love this. It is not a one-time service. They are constantly monitoring and removing personal information that you do not want on the internet. Take control of your data and keep your private life private. This is exactly how I protect my own digital footprint while I focus on building my net worth. Now, here's the video that Zelensky made. I am going to play it for you translated into English. Today, the Ukrainian Defense Forces, our security service, and our intelligence carried out a large-scale operation against the Moscow region, a solid wave of our deep strikes. We are ensuring Ukraine has this capability. The distance to the targets this time was over 500 kilometers. This is significant, especially since the Moscow region is the most heavily defended by Russian air defense systems. Above all else, they are fiercely protecting their central seat of power. Yet despite their efforts, Ukrainian long-range strikes are already beginning to reach it. As I said yesterday, Russians need to think about their own oil refineries, their oil facilities, and their industrial sites, rather than how to ruin the lives of other nations in Ukraine, such as Moldova or any other neighboring country. Also, our defense forces have struck targets in the temporarily occupied territory over the past 24 hours, particularly in Crimea. And this long-range capability of ours is something that is significantly changing the situation. And overall, the world's perception of Russia's war, many partners are now signaling that they see what is happening and how much things have changed, both in terms of attitudes toward this war and the reach of Russian targets on Russian territory. The war is quite predictably returning to its home port, and this is a clear signal that it is not worth messing with Ukraine and waging an unjust war of aggression against another nation, specifically against the people. Now, as Moscow burns, Donald Trump is making social media posts of himself walking with an alien, as California Governor Gavin Newsom says to Donald Trump's AI image. The President of the United States just posted this. Do you think that he has lost it? Answer, yes. And United States military equipment is burning down. We also saw an Israeli nuclear site burning down. We also saw a UAE nuclear power plant burning down over the past 24 to 48 hours. Remember the video I did yesterday morning? Donald Trump panics as 2 nuclear sites are hit. I know corporate news does not want to talk about this. What corporate news is too busy talking about? I don't too know. Golden ballrooms? Why? Why do we need to build golden ballrooms? I do not know what state regime media is reporting, but here's what we also learned. In addition to all of those sites being struck, Iranian and regional media outlets, including Iran as far as news agency, are reporting the downing of a US MQ-9 Reaper Drive 1 over Yemen's Marib province, the key oil and gas region located in northern central Yemen today. The claim in the footage has not yet been confirmed by U.S. Central Command or Yemen's Houthis. The Houthis have a documented history of targeting the $30 million General Atomics aircraft, shooting down dozens of MQ-9 Reapers during a recent U.S. campaign, increasingly by using locally manufactured surface-to-air missiles. Actually, many come from China, but who knows? The U.S. has previously acknowledged some losses while declining to confirm others. And the open-source intelligence defender also shows the wreckage that is visible. You can see it is circulating. It is clearly an MQ-9 Reaper. It was carrying these AGM-114 R9X Hellfire missiles known as the Flying Ginsis for their blade deployment warhead designs. And you see it burning. So that is what is going on in the U.S., and this all brings me back to that meeting in the Oval Office. Donald Trump's golden bordello of mafioso extortion, and you remember this moment when Donald Trump went to Zelensky and said, "You do not have the cards, you do not have the cards." And Zelensky predicted precisely what was going to happen. Let me play this clip for you. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and do not feel it now. But you will feel it in the future. God bless, you do not know that. God bless, you will not have. Do not tell us what we are going to feel. We are trying to solve a problem. Do not tell us what we are going to feel. I am not telling you, do not tell us what we are going to feel, because you are in no position to dictate that. Remember this, you are in no position to dictate what we are going to feel. We are going to feel very good, feel influenced. We are going to feel very good and very strong. You will feel feel influenced, you are right now not in a very good position. You have allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about from the very beginning of the war. You are not in a good position. You do not have the cards right now with us. You start having cards right now. You do not have, you are playing cards, you are playing cards, you are gambling with the lives of millions of people. You are gambling with World War I too. And what you are doing is very disrespectful to the country. This country that has backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have. Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No. In this entire meeting, have you said thank you went? Or I could show you numerous clips like this when Donald Trump yelled at Zelensky and said, Zelensky better get moving. Russia wants to make a deal. You are going to miss a great opportunity. You got to do a deal. Deal, deal, deal. Deal, the guy is so weird about deals. You got to do a deal. I got to do a deal. You are a loser. You are a loser. Shut up with the deals. Stand for values and principles. If you are going to do a deal, then do it. Stop talking about a deal. You know, it is like me talking about dinner. I want to eat dinner. I am going to eat dinner. I am going to dinner. Dude, shut up. Just eat dinner and shut up. Stop talking about deals. You loser. Here, play this clip. Negotiations still demand have to hold elections before summer. Well, Zelensky is going to have to get moving. Russia wants to make a deal. Zelensky is going to have to get moving. Otherwise, he is going to miss a great opportunity. He has to move. Here you go. But remember, then when you had Zoran Milanovic in the Oval Office and Donald Trump is like, remember I told Zelensky, you better do a deal. You do not have the cards. Dude, you are so cliche. Can you come up with something new? Can you come up with something new? You are playing this clip. I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan. President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up his partner or giving up its dignity. There has been criticism that this deal, you mean he does not like it. It is unclear. He will have to like it. And if he does not like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess. The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he does not accept it, the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Well, at some point, he is going to have to accept something. He has not accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office. Not so long ago, I said, you do not have the cards. Do not forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war, and I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been a good deal. That could have been done, too, if you had the right president. But you did not have the right president. And then finally, our friend Ben Hodges, former U.S. Army Europe commander, lead general in Europe. He is retired now. He said, I remember a little over a year ago when Donald Trump and Vance yelled at Zelensky and said, you do not have the cards, and look where we are now, play the clip. It was a little over a year ago that President Zelensky was in the Oval Office getting yelled at by the president and the vice president, and this ridiculous assertion that you got no cards and all of that. And here we are today where Ukraine is helping countries in the Gulf defend themselves against Iranian drones, and they probably are going to have Ukrainian defense industry being supported by Saudi money and money from the Emirates to purchase Ukrainian defense capabilities, even though the American president said we do not need anything from them. So what an amazing turn of events. Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let us go. Zelensky, powerful, powerful indeed. When I was 22, I was working a soul-crushing corporate finance job making $45,000 a year. I remember looking at my bank account, seeing exactly $1,245 left after paying rent, and realizing the mainstream financial advice was a complete lie. They tell you to save your pennies, skip your daily lattes, and put your money into complex, opaque investments managed by elite institutions. I bought into that nonsense, invested in a sketchy yield fund, and watched them freeze redemptions when things went south. I could not get my own cash out to pay for a broken car transmission. I had to drive a beat-up 2006 Honda Civic with a grinding gear for a whole year, and I could not even afford to buy a proper couch for my apartment. I slept and ate on a literal lawn chair in my living room for 12 months. That was my turning point. That was when I realized Wall Street exists to serve Wall Street, not you. I stopped listening to the corporate suits. I liquidated that garbage, and I took control of my own capital. I focused on high-income skills, maximized my savings rate to over 60%, and poured every single dollar into transparent, highly liquid index funds, like VU, plus elite dividend growth rocks like SAG and aggressive growth vehicles like VUG, no hidden models, no locked-out redemptions, no corporate lies. Today, at 27 years old, my net worth has officially crossed $620,000. And I did it by rejecting the exact same opaque, garbage products that the elites are trying to trap you with right now. You need to be in hard assets, in companies that control the energy infrastructure, because when these regimes start lobbing missiles, energy prices spike, and your cash just loses value in real time if you are holding cash while these drones are flying. You are effectively paying a tax to the incompetence of global leadership. We will keep you posted every step of the way, and thanks so much for watching, everybody. Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the Midas Touch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.